This is an Ornn 1 trick, and this is me. So for the next 10 hours, I'm gonna try to learn Ornn in 3 steps. First, play normal games. Second, do some research online. And finally, third, play some ranked games. I'm doing this because I'm trying to learn every champion so one day I can make the greatest Viego video ever. So alright, what do you even build on this champion first of all? Well, for your runes, you usually go Grasp of the Undying and the Resolve primary tree, and then your secondary is usually Inspiration. For your build, basically you just go whatever tanky items are best for your matchup or the enemy team comp in general. However, you always want to build a Bammy Cinder item and Jock Show as 2 of your first 3 items to help you push and become super tanky. And speaking of items, if you're playing with an Ornn, please build items that he can upgrade. Don't be like this team where almost no one builds Ornn items because you're basically just giving up free stats. Anyway, let's jump into some normal games. Because Ornn is a tank, the first several minutes of my first game were pretty boring. I just wasn't aware of how high Ornn's base damage was yet, so for now I was just playing safe and trying not to die. But it only took me 10 minutes to pull off my first insane Ornn play. Yeah, I'm gonna have to learn how to time my ult a little bit better. Luckily, Garen was actually just a paid actor and he let me kill him a few minutes later.
I'm just kidding, honestly, I have no idea what he was trying to do here.
And just a few minutes later, I won my first game because the enemy team just surrendered. So after that first game, someone in my chat told me how crazy Ornn's base damage was, so I decided to put that to the test for my next game. But that early kill made me a little bit overconfident. It didn't help that I forgot to ward and ended up just dying to Master Yi. This next death, however, was not my fault. But fortunately for me, even though I was having a pretty rough game, the rest of my team was amazing and they just carried me in important fights like this one. And just like that, it all came down to the final fight. It started off great getting 2 early kills, but out of nowhere, Mundo was able to just kill our entire backline. All of a sudden, I was left to 1v3, but against all odds, I managed to kill 1. And then, I managed to kill 2. And then we fucking surrendered for some reason. Anyway, my next game was a complete disaster. Holy shit, I should have cared. What the hell? Even watching this back, I have no idea how she killed me when I was up like 500 HP. And it only got worse from there. But look, sometimes you gotta get knocked down so you can get back up even stronger, am I right? And that's exactly what I did. My next game, I barely managed to get a kill in a 1v2 and almost got away with it too. And it didn't take me long for that to turn into even more kills. It definitely helped that my Zac was absolutely smurfing this game by winning us a 2v2 in the top lane. A little later, Briar outplayed the fuck out of me by flashing into the Pixel Brush during a big fight in the top lane. Yeah, I died here, but I just feel like this play deserved some credit. Anyway, after losing a few fights, our backs were against the wall, and we were losing another fight. Our carries were both dead, and I knew that we just didn't have the damage to win. Until I realized Zac was going freaking AP, and just like that, his crazy damage was able to save the game. Until he got caught in our jungle, and we ended up losing just a few minutes later. So with those games, I realized I kinda suck at Ornn. So after my normal games, I decided to do some research on YouTube, and here's what I found. And really quick, I just want to shout out Macro and his super in-depth video guide, written guide, and complete matchup guide because that's basically where I got all my information. 1, apparently Ornn doesn't have that many bad matchups, so usually you just use your high base damage to trade in lane and stack resistances so you become unkillable. However, his bad matchups do feel really bad, so for those, just stay under tower and get tanky. 2, when Ornn builds health items, he actually heals in lane. So basically, if you have 75 HP and you build a health item, you will get 75% of that HP instantly. This can be a great way to stay in lane longer, especially if you're just farming under tower. 3, Ornn is a lot like Kassadin and Kayle because you want levels more than anything else early game. Basically, you don't want to group until you hit level 13 so you can get your first item upgrade. If you fall behind in levels, it hurts Ornn a lot. And last, in general, I just need to get better at timing Ornn's abilities. To me, Ornn feels very slow and clunky and is just more complicated than other tanks that I've played. And with that, let's jump into some ranked games. Right away, I started using my new knowledge of Ornn to dominate my first ranked game. And with a huge lead early, the enemy team just couldn't really do any damage to me, and my base damage meant I could definitely do damage to them. Seriously, even when I only had 79 HP, the enemy team still couldn't kill me under tower. Yeah, unfortunately, I turned out to be very killable. And as it turns out, the rest of my team was also very killable this game because the enemy Akali just destroyed everyone. I did manage to kill her in the end though. Even as the Nexus exploded for my first ranked loss, I was pretty proud of how I played my first game. My next game was against one of my least favorite champions, Vladimir. And to make matters worse, I got tower dove at the start of the game. And even though the guides I read specifically told me not to help my team with teleport, I saw my bot lane getting ganked and I knew I had to act fast. It turned into 2 kills and a tower, so I'm gonna say it was worth it. And as it turned out, getting my bot lane fed was a pretty good decision this game. Basically, all we had to do was play around our MF and let her do tons of damage, and we just started winning every fight. It definitely helps when the enemy Smolder flies right into our team for some reason. Yeah, after winning several fights back to back, we got to the point where we could just walk into their base and end the game pretty much. Game 7 was an absolute banger. It all started with a super close 3v3 in the river with both top laners barely making it out with their lives. I also used my W to stop Mordekaiser's pull here, which is something I learned in my research. Then I killed Mordekaiser because he underestimated Ornn's damage. Then I tried to pull off a sick outplay that did not go as planned. The plan was simple. I ult to bait out Mordekaiser's ult, and at the last second I press my W instead, which makes me unstoppable, to avoid Mordekaiser's ult. He just didn't ult me for some reason. Anyway, it didn't matter this game because my team got really far ahead and we just kept winning fights. So the enemy team surrendered in 16 minutes. And I followed up that game with one of the worst plays of my entire life, flashing into an Alawi tentacle and then just dying. Oh my god! How? And to make matters worse, my jungler tried to help a few minutes later. I did what I could to stay in the game and even managed to kill Alawi 1v1, but the tilt from the first fight had definitely gotten to me. But I definitely started feeling a lot more confident after we won a big fight in the mid lane. The enemy team overstayed with Rift Herald, so we just killed them and got Baron. But that confidence quickly turned to tilt again when my team lost a fight while I was matching Alawi's split push. This led to the enemy team getting Baron. And the final fight came down to a terrible decision by our Leona. Instead of turning on the TF, who was completely alone, my Leona decided to engage on the Alawi. And with that one terrible decision, we lost the fight and the game. And my next game started off bad too after an unfortunate gank from the enemy Rengar. But this time, I was not gonna let one death ruin my whole game. No, this game I was angry, and unfortunately this poor Pantheon was just the person I was going to take that anger out on. I was relentless, never letting the Pantheon even have the opportunity to play the game. If he was there, so was I, ready to kill him or at the very least make his life a nightmare. I was the main reason my team lost last game, and I was not going to let that happen again. If I had to, I was gonna carry this whole game. I was on a mission this game, and absolutely nothing was going to stand between me and that victory screen. Not minions, not champions, not even the Nexus towers. God damn, this game felt good. So at the halfway mark, I had probably one of the most exciting laning phases of the entire challenge. Then there was a super close 2v2 fight in the top lane that honestly could have gone either way. Literally, if I had just used my potions or biscuits a little bit sooner, we probably would have won this fight. And after that crazy fight, I came back and killed Garen just a few minutes later. But then I bounced back with another kill on the enemy Garen when I got back to lane. Just for Sylas and Lilia to gank me again, and I still managed to get a kill somehow. Sadly, the laning phase eventually came to an end, and we just lost every fight and lost the game. I also learned that Samira's wind wall can block my ult, which makes sense, I just hadn't seen it happen yet. So game 11 was a little weird. Basically, I killed Zac under tower at around the 10-minute mark, and then he just rage quit. After one death under tower, this guy said, nah, fuck this, and left the game. So the enemy team just surrendered at 13 minutes. Game 12, I forgot to press the record button at the start, and as you can tell from the score, I definitely missed some pretty important gameplay. Lucky for you all, this game had plenty of action, so I'm sure you all will be just fine. There were giant fights that exploded out of nowhere and would end so fast I barely had a chance to finish doing this voiceover. There were random fights in the jungle that not only went our way, but also ended in an almost quadra kill for our full tank Ornn. No! I was gonna get a quadra blitzcrank, you dick! And as if there was any doubt, we won this game. And I kept this momentum going into my next game by completely destroying the enemy Yorick. Honestly, we were dominating them this game. The only way we lose now is if some idiot gets caught out and gives the enemy team a free Baron or something. Luckily, my death didn't matter. While I was defending against Yorick's split push, my team won a fight and won the game, basically without me. I don't know what I was doing differently these last few games, but I was consistently going off every single game. I was getting massive knockups that would turn close fights into absolute stomps for my team. Holy shit, we're going in. Oh, this is gonna be a huge fucking, oh my god, that was disgusting. I was getting incredible 4-man ults, even if I missed the knockup right after. That would once again lead to winning team fights and objectives for my team. And I was so tanky, I would be fighting 1 versus 5 for a long time without dying, which gave my team enough time to flank and clean up the rest of the fight. These last 4 games felt really good, and I might just not lose another game. Okay, in my defense, I actually think I played pretty well this game too. My whole mission this game was to deny Kale as much EXP and gold as possible. But alas, it didn't matter what I did because this game, the enemy Zed went 19-1. I will say, the one time we did manage to kill him was because I managed to catch him out with my ult into a great E knockup. But one good fight was obviously not enough for us to win the game. As much as I hate to admit it, this next game was kind of my fault. I died over and over and over again. Even though I played pretty well in the one fight we managed to win, the damage was already done. Even though we killed 4 of them, we had lost all of our towers and all of our inhibs. We were on borrowed time at this point, but after winning that fight, we all started thinking maybe this game was actually winnable. It was not. And to start off my final hour, I was against arguably one of my worst matchups. You see, Olaf is so strong early, there's just nothing that I can do. Wait, he's dead. Well, since he wasn't able to take advantage of his strong early game, I basically just scaled into the mid game, became a tanky monster, and helped my team win fights. It's fights like these that really make me appreciate how strong Ornn's ult is. I mean, I'm able to engage fights so easily with this champion, as long as I don't completely miss my ult, of course. Another game, another win. Going into my final game of this challenge, I was honestly a little bit sad. Over the last 10 hours of learning Ornn, I had a lot of ups, and definitely a lot of downs too. But there's just something magical about being an unkillable tank that just puts himself in the stupidest positions and is still somehow able to make it out alive. I mean, at the end of the day, I'm just a dude smacking people with a little hammer. And I feel like there's a metaphor for life in there somewhere. Like how we're all just a dude with a little hammer slowly smacking our way through life, putting ourselves in stupid positions, but managing to make it out alive. And win or lose, it doesn't matter. What really matters is, did you have fun and did you learn something along the way?